Detonation focus me. They were one of the teams to make the latest changes, but they're the first team that we're going to be going over here in Pacific. I would say if you are somewhat aware of this organization, just like generally speaking, and you're not that clued up on 2026, you might just think, well, they've got one good player, but they've never done anything. In fact, at times, in certain years, they've been one of the worst teams of all time. So I'm not expecting anything. This is just going to be another version of the same, isn't it, DFM?
No.
No.
Okay. I like the confidence.
I mean, I think it will definitely be different. I think we can expect a pretty fundamentally different game from them because it's a healthy mix of, I mean, I don't know if I would even argue that it's a core from DFM because obviously Cess kind of joining late, kind of not always being part of the starting roster. He's coming in. I believe he should be IGLing going into next year as well, or this year, I guess. But now you have two Riddle players who were also some of the most promising even back when they were on ZETA Academy. But for me, the reason I'm pretty confident that they'll at least be different is because you have a big coaching staff change. And Vors, who used to also coach Riddle and all those Riddle guys before on ZETA Academy. Now, you can point fingers and be like, yeah, well, as much as they were hyped, they never won Ascension. I mean, they did get pretty close the first time, right, 2 years ago. Last year was a little bit more disappointing. But I think Vors still brings in good ideas if you just watch how Riddle is able to still relatively dominate Japan challengers. So I think it's definitely going to be different, and he'll hopefully find a new way to help out May.
Yeah. I mean, no offense to Soldam, but Soldam isn't May, so I think that you do have a bit more to work with innately, and I think Soldam's still a very gifted player, but May is just on a completely different level at the moment, so I think that you have a bit more at your disposal compared to what you were dealing with when you're trying to go on that Ascension run, even though it was pretty poor. They what, one map win versus Velocity, and that was the only one they were able to take. So, but it was when they were on a bit of a heater, I suppose, Velocity. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I'm hoping it comes together, dude. I need some faith. I need something from Japan. I need something to believe in. And if May is there, I know that playoffs is a possibility. And going beyond with some bolstering of the coaching staff, I'm hoping that we can see some deeper runs.
Sure. Do you think it's that bigger upgrade? Because I felt like Yen and Jingbing played pretty well, even though I would say they were maybe a little inconsistent. Do you really think these two new players are like that bigger upgrade? I haven't watched them much. I looked at the stats. It didn't jump out. It would be a big upgrade.
I think it will definitely be more consistent than Jinbong. Like Jinbong's peaks were pretty good, but I would say unfortunately he had some big dips as well. Jian obviously kind of started to get comfy towards the end of the year, and it is unfortunate. Obviously, for those who don't know, he said on his own stream, I just saw the translation, but that he was already kind of planning on trying to find a way out, and he's going to do another year in Tier 2 just to give it his all, but he doesn't think he's fit for competing and things like that. So that's unfortunate, but I don't think... so as far as I know, Yatsuka is playing Flex, and I believe that means Sessor Akame, I forget which one, is playing Controller, the other Initiator, and then Kaede is going to be playing Sentinel. But no matter... Cess is playing Controller?
Yeah,
I would assume
I think so. That's what they were doing before, so that would make sense. But in that sense, I think the flexibility of Yatsuka and his aggression it would at worst be a side grade, if not an upgrade to Jian, I would think. And then Kaede being more consistent than Jinbong would say overall an upgrade.
Sure.
The thing that I want to see is just kind of settling into those roles a little bit more, because one of the things that stood out to me when they were going through Ascension was that, like, on one map, Kaede would be playing Yoru, and then Yatsuko would be playing Viper, and then you go to the very next map, and then they would just switch. It was still just Yoru Viper, but we're just playing it like differently. It's like, why not just hone in, focus on it, master it on all the maps rather than kind of spreading it around like this. So I'm hoping that there's that. I hope there's a bit more consistency with their game plan, as well as just consistency in the performances from these guys. Because what Shober said, I fully agree with. I think that, like, the peaks from Jinbong, as well as Gian, they were very, very good, and Gian was very much heating up at the end of the year. But everything in that lead up was really rough. And then Jinbong, just for every pop off moment that he had, where he had a 1v4, he had so many just failures in rounds that it was just pretty rough.
Can I be the voice of misery here a little?
As always.
You always
yeah,
are. What are you talking about? Why do you have to ask permission?
Okay, so when I was thinking about DFM coming into this season, the things that were potentially exciting to me were them picking up. Okay, first of all, not really familiar with the Riddle Order players. I did watch them in Ascension, but they were getting dominated, so it's not like I have good memories of watching these players. But I was potentially excited for the rumor of Foxy9 joining the team.
Yeah, number one Foxy9 fan here, of course.
I mean,
always supported him throughout his career.
Yeah.
It's not
Really
about whether
hyped
I've
up for
always
him.
supported him. It's about the narrative arc that you go on, okay? It's about whether or not you eventually support them. And I do. But I think that I would have been interested in that. I think it would have posed its own set of challenges for sure. And then I would be interested if there was like a star player on the come up from Japan, etc. Now, it sounds like these are incremental improvements that you're talking about from one player to the next. It doesn't sound like they've gone from like a decent player to like, you got to pay attention to this guy. He's going to be the next big thing. And presumably the same for the coaches, because I mean, I'm sorry, but I was watching Riddle Order in Ascension and that was like completely flat. Like, are we really expecting that coach to be doing a lot more for this team? They had like a 33% win rate last year. I mean, is it really going to get that much better?
I've been a big Vors supporter because when ZETA was making some changes and brought up a couple of their academy players to the main roster, I had seen some fans like talk about, the academy coach like has talked about them a lot. And I watched his videos. Now, I don't speak any Japanese, so I just had to rely on good old YouTube auto-translated captions, and half of them didn't make sense. But at the very least, it seemed like he knew exactly what to look for. Like he was identifying very well, what I would have hoped was either the problem or the success, right, within the team or what you saw in the players. Yeah, I agree. Riddle Order, they didn't bring anything crazy new, but I would say at the same time, Riddle Order's always been a very set play reliant team, something that I think DFM lacked a little bit. So in that sense, I think it shores up their weaknesses quite a bit.
What are we looking at in terms of expectations for this team? So like I said, last year, like over the course of VCT history, DFM have been one of the worst performing teams. I think last year was actually like pretty decent from them, all things considering. Being able to make it to playoffs, winning 5 games over the course of the whole season. Like they were not just a complete bottom feeding team.
No, for sure.
And they were in a very competitive region as well. Is this going to be... is the expectation that they should be at least meeting that, like at least be a playoffs team again, or are we now expecting them like Paper Thin was last year to make an international? Like, what is the reasonable expectation for DFM?
I think reasonable is the same. We ignore Paper Thin and the boat, I think it was, and we just aim for playoffs. That seems pretty wave by wave. We just aim for playoffs. I think that's fine. Anything above is a big win. Anything below, especially with May and the team is not hitting expectations. It's just a playoffs team for sure. I would say if they get above 7th with how strong Pacific is looking, it's good for them personally. But again, I don't know too much about the 2 new guys, so maybe I'm fully underrating them. Oh no, not this.
Oh, we're starting right away.
We're just
I would put them on an 8. Let's start with 8. That's like the
give me
cutoff
some
line
wiggle
of
room.
playoffs.
Okay, because that is the playoffs. So that's in terms of like where we're saying the expectations should be. I think this is going to get more complicated, by the way, when we have a lot of teams that are like...
It always does.
Yeah, but there's going to be lots of teams. There's going to be more than 8 teams whose expectations are you should try to make playoffs, right? Because you're supposed to set your expectations a bit ambitiously.
You
don't think?
I think it's
Chopra's going to have 4 people like straight down there in the bottom tier. But let's move on. This is one of the teams, though, that I think they're fighting alongside with is ZETA Division, because ZETA have showcased that they are capable of winning big games, winning singular maps in BO1s, or even actually winning big series when they beat Paper X last year as well. But they haven't been able to put it together for any extended period of time. They have... made a couple of changes, though, from last year to this year, of which they played with most of them in the off-season tournament. And they've also added Mini as a, consultant as well, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a team that's certainly trying. I think they've made some good roster moves, and they've demonstrated that they can pull it out. But can they do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke, I think is the big question.
My biggest question is Minnie the type of person who will do things because he thinks it will be fun, or because he actually sees
because it'll be fun.
Very likelihood of results?
Fun
No,
and
I'm
fun's
just saying,
never
some
crossed the
people are like
mind of
that.
Minnie.
Okay, I mean that's what I assumed, but because here's what I'm saying: I don't see what he's seeing at all, right? Like I'm not saying that they're super
What do you
bad or
mean,
whatever,
mate?
but
He's seeing big old money bags in his eyes. Is what he's seeing.
well, okay, well that would be fun, right? Making a lot of money sounds fun.
pretty
I mean,
fun,
that would be the okay. Well, then if that's the case, then I've got nothing.
Did you mean to ask, is he somebody who's willing to take money but suffer at the same time?
Well, I mean, maybe he just doesn't,
That's not
care
fun.
about the suffering, right? Like he just takes the money. But I'm just wondering how much of it matters to him that he sees a 60%, 55% minimum success rate of
Oh,
what
I
he
don't
wants
think
to
that's
accomplish.
why he's joined. I mean, sorry to put
Okay.
words in his mouth,
All right.
but I don't think he's looked at this squad and thought, I can do Fnatic 2023
I can
with
fix
these guys.
I can fix them. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's looking at them like I can fix
Okay.
her.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, to some degree, no, I imagine that it is quite a good challenge to work with a team that clearly has potential but can't put it together
Sure.
on a regular basis, because they're skilled and they sometimes have really cool ideas that throw other people off guard, but they can't put it together over the course of more than even at their very best. This org has been able to put it together over one tournament run ever, and then they immediately fell off again. So, and it's a very different roster, but they've got a couple of similar players, and I think still somewhat of a similar identity. But they've got fraggers now, I think. I mean, Absol looked like a fragger. Is it Eco or Echo? Either way,
Eco.
fragger.
Eco.
Eco looked pretty good too. I mean, Sugar Zero, if you can get him back to what he was doing years back as well. I mean, even now is like
He's had
pretty
his
good.
moments
Yeah,
throughout
he has
this
his-
pretty
year.
good.
I was gonna say, yeah, he has moments.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a team that lacks consistency a little bit, and obviously it's a different roster now, really, with 3 out. But man, if you can get them to the form that we saw a couple of days last year, then it would be
The greatest
good.
team of all time.
Yeah, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Respect. But yeah, I think even with getting Mini in, I think it's you still gotta have pretty low expectations. I think. I mean, it can't work miracles on this. I think it's like a 10th, 11th kind of vibe for me. Set expectations low, and then if he does anything, if he gets them to playoffs, then fair play, man.
I think there's too many unknowns right now to put them in 10th, to be honest. It just
Yeah, work him in
Yep.
11th.
just the raw firepower that I've seen from
Yeah.
SLT, now Varel, and then what we know Nongshim is capable of. I think it's difficult to push Zeta any higher, to be honest, which it breaks my heart to say.
I'm
I'd
looking
love
at
to rate them.
I'm looking at DFM here, standing out like a bit of a sore thumb in the 8th position based on where we've put them. Oh,
Okay.
We
Because-
can get to that.
Well, we'll
okay,
get
all
there.
right. But what I'm thinking is you genuinely have a battle now between the two Japanese teams, in my opinion, because I think that Zeta was last year getting the worst end of it. Like, didn't really look like they were the team that you wanted to root for if you were thinking about Japan having a competent team on the world stage. But I suspect it's going to be much closer between these two teams this year. I
You
don't.
reckon?
Is that a good thing?
What do you mean? Is that a good thing? You
I
mean
if you're
because that would
competing
imply
for
that
9th and
DFM?
10th if you're competing for 9th and 10th place, like is that what you want it? Is that
not
what you
well,
want
no,
it to
It's
be,
what
though?
no
No,
one wants, Joe. Bro.
No,
Let's be honest.
I would
no one wants
prefer.
that.
I would prefer if they had made a Japanese super team, but I don't think
Okay.
they have on either of these rosters. I think that one of the teams that Zeta is going to be trying to take wins off is DFM. I still think DFM might
Sure,
be placed
okay,
above them,
okay.
but I think that's one of the teams that they're going to be like hunting for, is to prove that they can take wins against
They need
DFM.
to.